A woman named Dorothy once told me something that stuck with me for years. She said, "We never called it a diet back then, we just called it dinner." And when she described what was actually on her plate in 1950, I realized something strange. She was thinner at 70 than most people are at 50 today. No fad, no supplement, no gym membership, just 1950. So what if the secret to losing weight and feeling better wasn't found in some new pill or trendy plan, but in a kitchen that already existed 70 years ago? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why so many people are quietly going back in time to eat like it's 1950, and why doctors are starting to pay attention. Picture it for a moment. It's a Tuesday evening in a small American town. The smell of pot roast drifts through an open kitchen window. There's no microwave humming, no drive-through bag on the counter, no phone buzzing with a food delivery notification. Dinner takes an hour to make and 20 minutes to eat, sitting at a table, together. The refrigerator is small, so nothing sits in it for weeks. The pantry has flour, oats, dried beans, maybe a jar of jam made last summer. There's no such thing as a snack aisle, because snacking the way we know it today barely existed. This wasn't a health trend. It was just life. And yet, when researchers look back at eating patterns from that era, they find something remarkable. Obesity rates were a fraction of what they are now. Heart disease existed, but the diseases we now call lifestyle diseases, things tied directly to processed food and sedentary living, were far less common. This is where the idea of the Rotary Diet comes in. Not a diet plan invented by a celebrity or a company, but a simple challenge some health-conscious folks have started trying. Eat only what would have been available in 1950. No ultra-processed snacks, no soda in giant bottles, no ingredients you can't pronounce, just real food, prepared at home the way your grandmother might have made it. Let's walk through why this old-fashioned way of eating is turning heads today, and what science says about each piece of it. Let's start with something Dorothy mentioned that made me pause. In 1950, sugar wasn't hiding everywhere. Today, sugar sneaks into bread, salad dressing, pasta sauce, and even foods labeled healthy. Back then, if you wanted something sweet, you baked a pie or spooned a little jam onto toast. It was a treat, not a daily ambush from every direction. Nutrition researchers have long pointed out that hidden sugars are one of the biggest contributors to modern weight gain, because our bodies don't register liquid or processed sugar the same way they register a slice of homemade pie. When sugar is added to almost everything, we lose the natural stop signal that tells us we've had enough. This isn't about banning sweetness from your life. Nobody wants that, and nobody's suggesting you throw away dessert forever. But here's a myth worth clearing up. Many people believe naturally occurring sugar in whole foods is the problem. It isn't. It's the added sugar, hidden in places you'd never expect, that quietly adds up. The practical takeaway here is simple. Try reading one label today, just one, on something you eat often, and see how much added sugar is hiding inside. That single habit, done regularly, can shift your relationship with food more than any strict diet ever could. Now let's talk about something almost every person over 50 remembers. Sitting down at the table as a family, no television, no phones, just conversation and food. This wasn't just a nice tradition. It turns out this simple habit had a powerful effect on digestion and even weight control. When you eat slowly, in a calm environment, your body has time to release the hormones that tell your brain, "I'm full." Eating in front of a screen, or eating standing up while multitasking, short-circuits that signal. Research on mindful eating supports what our grandparents did naturally. Slower meals, eaten with attention, lead to less overeating and better digestion. There's a myth that eating slowly is just about manners or old-fashioned politeness. but it's actually rooted in biology. Your stomach and brain need about 20 minutes to sync up. Rush through a meal, and you'll often eat far more than your body needed before that signal even arrives. The takeaway is beautifully simple. Tonight, try eating just one meal without your phone nearby, at the table, slowly. Notice how different full feels when you actually give your body the time to tell you. Let's shift to something that might surprise you. Portion sizes in 1950 were dramatically smaller than they are today. A dinner plate back then could fit inside what we now consider a salad plate. Restaurants didn't serve towering portions, and homes didn't stock oversized bowls and cups. Some nutrition experts believe this alone explains a huge portion of the difference in average weight between generations. It's not just what people ate, it's how much. When your plate is smaller, your brain still registers a full plate as a full meal, even if the actual quantity of food is less. This is sometimes called the plate size illusion, and it's been studied extensively in behavioral nutrition. Here's where myth and fact split apart. Many people assume the answer to overeating is willpower, forcing yourself to eat less through sheer discipline. But swapping to a smaller plate uses psychology instead of willpower, and it tends to work far better long term. Your practical takeaway today is refreshingly easy. Pull out a smaller plate for your next meal, the kind your grandparents might have used, and notice how satisfying a full plate of smaller portions can feel. Now, let's talk about movement. Because health in the 1950s wasn't about gyms or fitness classes. It was built into daily life. People walked to the store, they hung laundry on a line instead of tossing it in a dryer, they gardened, cleaned by hand, and spent far more time on their feet than sitting down. This is sometimes called incidental movement, and researchers studying longevity have found it's just as valuable as scheduled exercise, sometimes even more so because it's sustainable and doesn't feel like a chore. There's a common myth that if you're not doing an intense workout, you're not really exercising. But experts in aging and mobility increasingly emphasize something called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which basically means all the small movements throughout your day that add up. Walking to get the mail, standing while folding towels, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. These aren't just filler activities. They're meaningful contributors to heart health, blood sugar control, and even mood. Your takeaway today is to look for one task you'd normally do sitting down and try doing it standing or walking instead. Small shifts like this, repeated daily, echo exactly how our grandparents stayed active without ever calling it exercise. Here's something else worth remembering. In 1950, snacking between meals wasn't really a habit. People ate 3 meals, and that was that. Today, constant snacking, sometimes called grazing, keeps insulin levels elevated throughout the day, which some researchers believe contributes to weight gain and metabolic strain over time. This doesn't mean snacks are evil, but there's a difference between an occasional snack and constant nibbling from morning to night. Giving your body clear breaks between meals allows insulin levels to settle and may support better metabolic health, something increasingly discussed in research around intermittent eating patterns. A myth worth busting here is the idea that grazing all day keeps your metabolism revved up. Most current research actually suggests the opposite, that consistent, spaced-out meals may support better blood sugar balance than constant small bites throughout the day. Your takeaway is simple. Try leaving 3 to 4 hours between meals today without snacking in between, and notice how your hunger and energy shift. Let's talk about something a little different now, something just as important as food: community. In the 1950s, neighborhoods buzzed with connection. People sat on porches, they visited each other without calling first. Loneliness, something researchers now link to increased risk of heart disease, depression, and even early mortality, was far less common simply because daily life was built around connection. This matters for weight and health too, because stress and isolation are strongly tied to emotional eating and disrupted sleep. When you're supported by people around you, your stress hormones tend to stay more balanced, which affects everything from appetite to blood pressure. A myth here is that social connection is just a nice to have, separate from physical health. But longevity studies consistently show that strong social ties are one of the most powerful predictors of a long, healthy life, sometimes even more powerful than diet or exercise alone. Your takeaway today is heartwarming and easy. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a while, or better yet, invite a friend over for a home-cooked meal the 1950s way. Now, let's touch on sleep, something people in 1950 seemed to get more of, almost by accident. Without smartphones lighting up bedrooms and televisions running late into the night, people generally went to bed earlier and woke with the sun. Their bodies followed a natural rhythm, something scientists call your circadian rhythm. And this rhythm is deeply connected to hormone regulation, appetite control, and even how your body processes fat. Disrupted sleep today is linked to weight gain, higher stress hormone levels, and slower metabolism. It's not that people back then knew the science. They simply lived in a way that supported it naturally. The myth worth clearing up is that adults need less sleep as they age. In truth, older adults still need 7 to 8 hours, but sleep patterns can shift, making quality just as important as quantity. Your takeaway tonight is simple. Try turning off screens 30 minutes before bed, and notice if you fall asleep faster and feel more rested tomorrow. Let's bring this all together for a moment. Smaller portions, real food instead of processed shortcuts, meals eaten slowly and with people you love, movement built into daily chores instead of squeezed into a scheduled workout, deeper sleep thanks to a world with fewer screens, strong community ties that kept stress and loneliness at bay. None of this was a diet back in 1950. It was simply the rhythm of everyday life. And that's exactly why so many people today, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, are rediscovering these habits and calling it something new, the Rotary Diet, even though it's really just remembering what already worked. Here's the important thing to understand. This isn't about turning back the clock completely, and it's certainly not about giving up modern conveniences that make life better. Nobody's suggesting you throw out your refrigerator or stop using your phone. It's about borrowing the wisdom, the small, steady habits that supported health naturally, and weaving them gently into the life you have now. Healthy aging isn't about chasing miracle cures or drastic transformations. It's about small, sustainable choices, the kind your grandparents made without even realizing they were doing something remarkable. If Dorothy's story taught me anything, it's that the secrets to long-term health were never really lost. They were just buried under decades of convenience, screens, and shortcuts. And the beautiful part is, it's never too late to bring them back. Whether you're 50, 70, or 90, your body still responds to real food, restful sleep, meaningful connection, and gentle movement. Aging gracefully isn't about turning back time. It's about carrying the best parts of the past forward, one small habit at a time. So here's my question for you today. Which of these habits reminds you most of your own childhood? Was it Sunday dinners with the whole family? Walking everywhere instead of driving? Falling asleep without a screen in sight? I'd love for you to share your memory in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this video brought back a memory or gave you one small idea you want to try this week, give it a like and subscribe for more videos blending healthy aging with a little nostalgia for the good old days. Because getting older doesn't mean slowing down. Sometimes it means going back to what worked and moving forward feeling better than ever.